My wife's family tried to sabotage my business and our marriage. They learned the hard way. I, 36 male, have been happily married to my wonderful wife, Sarah, 35 female, for 7 years. We have a beautiful 5-year-old daughter, Lily, and a rambunctious 3-year-old son, Maximum. Our life, while busy and sometimes chaotic, has always been filled with love, mutual respect, and unwavering support for each other. That is, until her family decided to insert themselves into every aspect of it, particularly my thriving business. A bit of background. I started my own company, a custom software development firm, straight out of college. It was a shoestring operation back then, run out of my tiny apartment, fueled by instant noodles and caffeine. Through years of relentless hard work, sleepless nights, and a few near bankruptcies, I managed to build it into a successful enterprise. We now employ over 50 people, have a fantastic client base, and generate a very comfortable income, enough to provide for my family and live a good life. Sarah has always been incredibly supportive of my ambition. She was there through the lean years, cheering me on, helping me with administrative tasks, and reminding me to eat and sleep. She's a talented graphic designer herself, working freelance from home, and she understands the demands of running your own business. We are a team. Sarah's family, however, is a different story. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Davis, come from old money. Not ridiculously wealthy, but comfortable enough that neither of them has ever had to work a day in their lives. They live in a sprawling house in an exclusive neighborhood, drive luxury cars, and spend their winters in Florida. They've always viewed my self-made success with a strange mix of disdain and mild curiosity, as if I were some kind of exotic animal. Her older brother, Michael, 38 male, is their golden child. He's never really held a steady job, preferring to invest in various speculative ventures that always seem to lose money. He lives off an allowance from his parents and believes he's a financial genius, constantly spouting off about market trends he barely understands. Sarah's younger sister, Emily, 30 female, is a stay-at-home mother to 2 children, relying entirely on her husband's substantial income. She's perhaps the most outwardly judgmental of the bunch, constantly making snide remarks about my tech bro lifestyle and how I should be more family-oriented like her husband, who works a demanding corporate job but is always home by 6 p.m. The problem started subtly, shortly after our company had a particularly successful quarter and I bought a new, larger office space. Mrs. Davis started dropping hints about how much I must be making, how successful people often invest in their families, and how Michael had some amazing investment opportunities he'd like to discuss with me. I politely declined, explaining that my company's profits were reinvested back into the business for growth and that I wasn't looking for external investments, especially from family. This didn't sit well with her. Then came the suggestions. Emily started suggesting that I should hire her husband's cousin, who was very good with computers but had no formal training or experience in software development. Michael, after being turned down for investment, then tried to pitch me on hiring him as a business development consultant, despite his complete lack of experience in the tech industry. I, again, politely but firmly declined these offers, explaining that I hire based on merit and experience, not family connections. Sarah backed me up every step of the way, which only seemed to fuel her family's resentment towards me. They started subtly implying to Sarah that I was being ungrateful, selfish, and not a team player within the family. The situation escalated dramatically when we decided to expand our services to include a new, innovative project management platform that would revolutionize how our clients handle their workflows. This was a massive undertaking, requiring significant capital investment and a dedicated team. I had been working on the concept for over 2 years, meticulously planning every detail. Sarah was incredibly excited about it and had even helped me brainstorm some of the user interface ideas. Given her design background, one evening, at a family dinner, the topic of my new project came up. I was enthusiastic, explaining the potential impact and the technological advancements we were incorporating. Mr. Davis, with a condescending smirk, said, "Oh, another one of your little pet projects, is it? Hope this one actually makes money, unlike some of Michael's brilliant ideas." Michael, ever the opportunist, then chimed in, "You know, I've been reading a lot about project management lately. I could really help you with the financial projections, maybe even find some investors. My network is quite extensive." I just smiled and said, "Thanks for the offer, Michael, but we have a solid team in place and our own financing secured." The real bombshell dropped a few weeks later. I started noticing strange anomalies in our internal project management system, the very one we were developing. Files were being accessed by unknown IPs, Minor code changes were being made that weren't authorized, and some of our proprietary documents were being downloaded. At first, I thought it was a sophisticated hacking attempt. I immediately brought in our cybersecurity team, who are some of the best in the business. They conducted a thorough investigation. What they found sent a chill down my spine. The unauthorized access wasn't coming from external hackers. It was coming from an IP address traced directly back to Mr. and Mrs. Davis's home, and the user account being used. A temporary guest account I had set up for Sarah months ago so she could occasionally look at design mock-ups for her feedback, an account that she had completely forgotten about and never used after the initial setup. Someone had reactivated it, changed the password, and was actively infiltrating my system. I confronted Sarah, my heart pounding, a knot of dread in my stomach. She was horrified, genuinely shocked. She swore she had no idea how her account was compromised and why her parents' IP address was involved. Her distress was palpable, and I knew she was telling the truth. We immediately changed the password and locked down the account, but the damage had been done. The cybersecurity team's further investigation revealed something even more disturbing. Not only were they accessing our internal systems, but they were also sharing the downloaded information with someone else. Someone who was trying to develop a strikingly similar project management platform. The trail led to a small, newly formed startup, headed by none other than Michael Davis. My wife's brother, using information stolen from my company, was trying to create a competing product. He was actively trying to undercut my business, leveraging his parents' unwitting, or perhaps willful, assistance to gain access to my proprietary research, development strategies, and even early marketing materials. This wasn't just a simple act of industrial espionage. It was an act of betrayal from within my own family. That I was furious. Beyond furious. I felt sick to my stomach. This wasn't just about money or business. It was about trust, loyalty, and the blatant disregard for my hard work and integrity. I called my lawyer immediately. He was appalled by the evidence and advised me to pursue legal action aggressively. This was a clear case of intellectual property theft and corporate espionage. Before I took legal action, I wanted to confront them directly, with Sarah by my side. I wanted them to see the devastation they had caused, not just to my business, but to our family. We arranged a meeting at their house. It was tense from the moment we walked in. Michael was there, looking unusually smug. Emily sat silently, watching us with a strange mix of curiosity and malice. I laid out all the evidence, the IP addresses, the timestamps of access, the downloaded files, the similarities between our project and Michael's fledgling startup. I showed them screenshots, logs, everything. Mr. and Mrs. Davis's faces went from smug indifference to a pale shade of shock as the reality of the situation sunk in. Michael, however, just scoffed. "What's the big deal?" he said, arms crossed. "It's just business. You are so successful, you wouldn't even notice a little competition. Besides, you're family. You should be helping me, not trying to shut me down." "Helping you?" I practically roared, struggling to keep my voice down. "You stole from me, Michael. You used my wife's parents to spy on my company and steal my intellectual property. That's not helping, that's criminal." Sarah, who had been silent up to this point, her face a mask of hurt and anger, finally spoke. Her voice was trembling, but firm. "Mom, Dad, how could you do this? How could you betray Alex like this? He's my husband, the father of your grandchildren. And Michael, you disgust me. This isn't just business. This is a direct attack on our family, on our livelihood." Mr. Davis sputtered, trying to deny everything. "We didn't know what we were doing. Michael just asked us to help him with some research on your computer. He said you wouldn't mind, that you'd be happy to share with family." Mrs. Davis started to cry, wringing her hands. "We thought we were helping Michael. He's struggled so much, and you, Alex, you have so much." The sheer audacity of their excuse was staggering. They genuinely believed that because I had so much, I wouldn't mind them facilitating industrial espionage against me. It was a twisted sense of entitlement I had never fully grasped until that moment. "Ignorance is not a defense, Mr. Davis," I said, my voice cold. "And Michael, your startup is dead in the water. I'm filing a lawsuit against you, your parents for aiding and abetting, and anyone else involved in this scheme. I will pursue this to the fullest extent of the law. You will lose everything, and you will never work in this industry again." The color drained from Michael's face. He finally understood the gravity of the situation. His parents, however, still seemed to think I was bluffing. "You wouldn't dare," Mrs. Davis whimpered. "Your family. Think of Sarah, think of the children." "You should have thought of Sarah and the children before you tried to destroy their father's business," Sarah interjected, tears streaming down her face. "You put your own selfish desires, your misguided attempts to help Michael, above the well-being of your daughter and grandchildren. I am ashamed of all of you." I told them that evening that I was giving them one chance to make this right, before I unleashed the full force of my legal team. I demanded that Michael immediately cease all development on his competing platform, hand over all stolen intellectual property, and issue a public apology to my company. I also demanded that Mr. and Mrs. Davis issue a formal apology to me and Sarah, and that they would have absolutely no further involvement in my business, ever. If they refused, I would not hesitate to proceed with the lawsuit, which would include seeking significant financial damages. They balked. Michael was defiant, convinced he could fight it. His parents were still in denial. I left their house that night, feeling a profound sense of disappointment and anger, but also a fierce resolve. Sarah was heartbroken, but she stood by me, telling me to do whatever I needed to do. The next morning, my lawyer sent them a formal cease and desist letter, along with a detailed outline of the lawsuit we intended to file, including the potential damages and criminal charges for industrial espionage. That got their attention. A few days later, I received a frantic call from Mr. Davis. His tone was drastically different. The bravado was gone, replaced by desperation. Michael's fledgling startup had already attracted some attention, and the news of a potential lawsuit for intellectual property theft would immediately scare off any potential investors or partners. His dream was crumbling. Mr. Davis begged me to reconsider, promising that they would do anything. I told them my terms were non-negotiable. Michael had to shut down his company, surrender all data, and issue a public apology. His parents had to acknowledge their role and apologize. And as for future interactions, there would be strict boundaries. It was a grueling few weeks. Michael tried every trick in the book to wriggle out of it, but my legal team was relentless. Eventually, he caved. He publicly announced that his startup was ceasing operations due to unforeseen circumstances and issued a carefully worded apology, admitting to inadvertently using proprietary information from my company. It was vague, but it was an admission. Mr. And Mrs. Davis also issued an apology, albeit a very carefully crafted one, expressing regret for their actions and acknowledging my right to protect my business. It was hollow, but it was on paper. The aftermath has been profound. Our relationship with Sarah's family is, to put it mildly, strained. Sarah has cut off all but essential contact with Michael and Emily. She speaks to her parents, but it's mostly superficial. She still loves them, but the trust has been shattered. She told me that she feels a profound sense of betrayal, not just towards me, but towards her as well, as they clearly prioritize Michael's ill-conceived scheme over her family's well-being. My business, thankfully, is stronger than ever. The new project management platform launched successfully and has been a game-changer for our clients. The incident, while traumatic, forced us to review our cybersecurity protocols and make them even more robust. It also brought Sarah and me closer, reinforcing our bond and our shared commitment to protecting our family. I learned a harsh lesson about family dynamics and the corrosive nature of entitlement and jealousy. While I regret the rift it caused, I don't regret standing up for myself and my business. Sometimes, family can be the biggest threat, and you have to protect what you've built, even if it means confronting those closest to you. The peace of mind knowing that my company's integrity is intact, and that my wife and I face this challenge as a united front, is invaluable. We are moving forward, stronger and more resilient than ever.